Welcome, welcome to another conversation of Tell Me a Story that is brought to you by the Friends of the Sandwich Town Archives. We call it Foster. We're very excited because we're in the process of making more and more videos, and what this helps us do is get a little glimpse of Sandwich in past days, because what we're doing is we're interviewing townspeople whose ancestors go back generations. And so today I'm very pleased to have Barbara Morrow Gates here with us, and we're going to do some chatting and hear some wonderful stories, I'm sure, from Barbara. Welcome, Barbara.
Can't think of anything, thank you.
Well, I think what we might do is maybe we'll start with your grandparents, your parents, and then come forward and talk about your life in Sandwich. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay. Well, your grandparents, I believe, were Eugene Windsor Haynes, and your grandmother's name was?
Mary.
Mary?
Mary Frances Haynes, like my mother. Mary
Yes.
Frances.
Okay. And her maiden name was Lovell, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Your grandfather was born in 1865. Long time ago. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your grandparents? Where did they live?
Oh, the grandparents from my father's side, or
That would be Eugene Windsor Haynes.
Oh,
From your,
the Haynes
from your
side.
mother's
Right.
side, yes.
right? They came over from England, in way below. What is it called?
Wales?
Wales.
Ah.
They were from Wales, and they were glass cutters.
Oh.
That's why they came here when they wanted to made sandwich glass.
So he was born in 1865 over in Wales
Yeah.
and came here. So did he work in the glass factory?
No,
No, he did not.
no.
Okay. Okay.
I think that went down pretty bad, didn't it?
Okay.
I remember Mr. Burbank telling me that.
Uh-huh. So what did your grandfather do for a living?
Well, he was a farmer. He had 2 cows, and he had milk, and that's what he did. And he had 8 children. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mother was only an only child.
Uh-huh.
So on the Haynes side.
Uh-huh. Now what about, this is Eugene Windsor Haynes, your grandfather. I think he was also a selectman, was he not?
He was always into everything. Never there was a parade or anything, he was there. He had horns on it, and I don't know where that picture is.
Yeah.
I'd like to find it. It's somewhere in my house. And she said anything there was something to do, he would do.
He would do. I also understand that he was a fisherman.
He definitely was a fisherman, and that's when he lost his life.
And he lost his life. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, when he went out to pull his traps, he was coming in, and there was some bootleggers that came. And the bootleggers saw him, and he was next to the, what you said he was also a cop, or not a cop, but it was
Yes, he was also a deputy sheriff and a
deputy
constable.
sheriff and
Yes.
a constable. So he went right over to them and said, "What are you doing?" Because they were taking in booze.
Oh boy.
They did it all the time, right down there where you live, actually.
Yes, down.
And, yep, and into there, would come all the way up by Mrs. Neelix's place, and then they would take the booze, or whatever they called it, and hide it, and
Yep.
give it to the people in the town.
Wow.
And he wasn't going to have any of that.
Being a deputy sheriff, yes.
Yeah, but they shot him.
They did.
Yes, they did. They did come home that night, and I remember my grandmother saying he never came home that night, so they waited and waited. And they waited, this was like in November when this happened.
It was in November 1927, yes.
And they couldn't find him anywhere.
They couldn't.
And it was later on in November, December, January, February, March, I think, they found his boat that had gone, his little motorboat.
Yep.
And there was a leg in there. And there was a foot, there was a leg in the boots. So they told my grandmother, Haynes, that they had found his boot.
Oh
Because he always said, my mother said, well, what should I do, Mom? And
Yes.
my father and mother took, she said, Mary, would you and Wally?
Your father.
My grandmother didn't want to go down.
Sure.
So my father and mother went down, and my mother said she wanted to see the boot taken off. And she said, that is my father's, because my grandmother always donned his socks up like this and across.
Sure.
And she said, that's my dad's. Can you imagine my mother doing? She was 27 years old when that happened.
When she identified that.
Identified
for,
him,
for
and
your
my father
mother.
went with her.
Yes.
My dad went with her.
Yes.
He was good in those days.
Yes. What a tragic thing, Bob.
Isn't that horrible?
Oh
Their
my-
only child, too.
Yes.
And she said, well, Mary, you go down. And he said, yes, Mom, that was Dad's leg. Isn't that sad? Yeah, that's really
Yes.
sad.
Yeah. And so that story has come down through the generations to your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was your grandfather. Eugene Windsor Haynes was quite a notable person in town. He not only was a selectman,
He was
but he
everything.
was a businessman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As
He
a-
had the place, the Brown Jug.
He
And
did.
Well, his brother wanted it, my Uncle Billy, William, and he wanted it. So my grandfather gave that to him.
Ah.
So he took the Brown Jug, and he had that for many years, and his son took it afterwards. My mother's first cousin, my second cousin.
Because
He was a
your
Haynes.
grandfather Haynes also had an insurance agency. He was an insurance agent.
Yes, he was.
So-
Right next door there,
Yes.
as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Right next door down there.
Right on
Yeah.
Main Street, where the
Yeah.
Brown Jug is now, and the building right next to it. Yes.
And then he had another brother, Uncle Frank.
Yes.
So I knew all my grandfathers, my brothers.
Yes.
And he had two sons, and they were fine. They were very lovely people.
Did you know your grandfather, the one that was killed?
No.
You did not?
I was not born.
Yes. And he
He
didn't live
died
long
in the
enough.
27th?
27, yeah.
27.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wasn't born until 33.
Yes. How about let's segue now into your own parents.
What?
Your parents, Mary
And Wally.
Yes.
Wally
Morrow.
Jr.
Yep. Tell us a little bit about your parents. How did they meet?
Well, I don't really know, because when my mother, when she wanted to go to the New England Conservatory to study for the piano after school, and right down the street here, I can't think of his name. She wanted to go there to the conservatory, and his father, who lived in worked in the conservatory, said, no, Mary is going to go to this piano player, this pianist
Yes.
in Boston, who was
Ah.
the best one. And so my mother spent 2 or 3 years with him, learning more and more. Because I don't know if you ever heard my mother play.
Oh, I have.
There wasn't
I have,
anything she
Barbara.
could play.
She was unbelievable.
She could play you in any key you wanted. Like
Yeah.
Jane Ellis was so funny. She said, Mary, what key is that? And she said, well, what key do you want? She said, Jane.
Yeah.
She said, how about the key of X? She said, never mind, Jane.
Your mother could not only read music,
Oh, yeah.
but she could just
She knew any-
any tune. If you just said, "Play this, Mary,"
Any way they wanted it. If
Yes.
they wanted it higher, she could put it in another.
In a
she could
in a
set it
different key,
In
yeah.
a different key. Same thing in a lower key.
Now tell me, tell me about her piano playing at the town hall.
She was 15 years old when she played there.
She was.
And they would come down, her mother and father, they just up the hill here,
Yep.
up the road here. They would make popcorn and take it with them to go watch the movies,
The silent movies.
the silent movies. And my mother would, first time she went down, she was either 14 or 15, and she was one of the players. And she had a little light on there. And she heard all this laughing and laughing, and so the next time they went down, I guess it was every weekly or something. The next time she went down, it was so funny, she's so funny. She said she went down there and she was walking, and her dad said, Mary, where's your music? And she said, I left it home. And so she said, I'll go get it. And her mother, my grandmother was getting mad. She said, Mary, what did you leave your music for? And she turned around, and both of them, she said, I'm not using music.
Oh.
14 to 15 years old. And so she came to me, she said, you sure you know what you're doing? She said,
Yeah.
uh-huh. Turned off her light and watched, because everybody was laughing. And she was watching her music, and she said she couldn't watch it because she had to watch her music. And she just turned the light off the next day, or the next week, or whenever it happened. This is what she told me.
Yes.
She said, well, that's it. She said, I'm not playing, I'm not
going to play with music.
I'm
just going to play by
I'm going to play.
Yes.
So anything she saw there, if there was something was very fast, she'd be playing something very fast. It was very slow, so it was very sad or something, and without even watching a key.
She was an amazing woman. Yes.
Why I couldn't do that, I don't know.
So
I'm
this
really
was
bad.
So this was the town hall, and
Yeah.
they would have,
Yeah.
you think perhaps weekly, silent movies.
Silent movies.
And
yeah.
she would be one of the piano players
piano
at
players,
14 or 15 years old,
Yeah, Minnie Winström.
accompanying. Yep.
Yeah.
Who do you know who else might have done
Minnie
that?
Winström.
Minnie Winström.
Minnie Winström sang, or played.
Played, yep.
Oh yeah, she could play too.
Yep.
And I don't know who all played, but other just.
I think perhaps I've heard that Mamie Lenahan
Yes,
played also.
Lenahan played what? And there's another one that played. I can't remember the name.
Yes. So that
So
was.
it wasn't just Mary Morrow.
Yeah,
other
it was,
people.
yeah, but she was quite extraordinary.
Yes,
So
she was.
this was quite a social event, I would think,
It
for the
was.
townspeople to be able to go up
Yeah.
there on a weekly basis. And
But what happened was they started to go up on the when she wanted to go, and she agreed with the man who lives right down here. I can't remember his name, but I'll get it after a while.
yeah,
And she said that, he said, no, there's a man in there I want you to study with. So she did, but this man studied for 3 years, and she learned very, very much. She learned
From him.
even more.
did she stay in Boston during that
No,
time?
they had to ride the bus. They took
Oh.
they took the train up to Boston.
Back and forth she
Yeah.
did.
First of all, my grandmother went with her.
Sure.
And then she said, Mary, can you go by yourself because it's a problem, She said, I'll be home, but you'll be back. And she said, okay. So she did.
Off she went on
So
the train.
she went about 3 days a week.
Mhm.
And, well, she had 2 days, and she just loved him because he taught her so much. And when she came home, she went back one day, and he wasn't there, and they found out that he had passed away. But he had just started her up to go to Italy. He was a man from Italy, and he wanted to take my grandmother and my mother by boat to Italy because he had 4 or 5 towns in Italy that he wanted her to play with huge
Either a band or an orchestra?
orchestras.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're very, very, very good there. And
Yes.
she was ready to go, but he died.
Oh dear.
So she didn't go, and she went to the next lady, and the next lady said something about him that my mother didn't like. I don't know what it was, she would never tell me. And she said, well, I stayed with her for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then I just got out, and she said, now, Mary, I want you to come 3 days a week. Well, that's a little heavy,
Yes.
It costs money to go on this
Of
trip.
course, by the train, yes.
And so anyway, she said, okay, and she walked out, and she never went back.
And she never went back.
So she played for everybody.
Oh, yes.
Paid for the Catholic Church, paid for our church, anything,
So, do you know how she met your father?
I don't really know. He was
Uh-huh.
he was pretty cool, I guess. He was quite a baseball player.
Ah,
Oh, the Sox came after him,
aha,
but he thought he was such a hot shot. He wanted to go right in,
yes.
but they wanted him to go. I think they have a place in Rhode Island where they have to learn, and they said, we want you to come, but you've got to stay in Rhode Island for a while. He wouldn't do that. Isn't that awful?
So
what my dad
that's
did.
your father, Wally Morrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm
I'd
just
like to
saying
have
nice
you
things
talk
about
about
it.
this picture, Barbara, of your mother. It is just beautiful.
Yeah, that's this. What's his name?
Mr. Shaw, Jonathan Shaw.
Jonathan Shaw's grandfather said he wanted to draw a picture of her. He wanted to paint a picture of her,
Yes.
and all her piano playing and all that. So she went down dressed very nicely, and that's what he put on. Like I said, and then he put a green hat on there, and then he gave it to my mother.
It's just extraordinary. It's beautiful. And
Look at her
again,
cute
that
nose. I don't have that nose. My sister does, though.
and again, that was Jonathan Shaw,
Yeah.
who we know that lives on Java Street. That was his grandfather that did this oil painting.
Yes.
Quite
He
extraordinary.
didn't
It's
even know it.
beautiful.
He said, yeah, I guess one of my grandfathers did do something like that.
Mhm.
And I said, well, yeah, didn't know.
Now, what did your father do for a living?
My dad, what did he do? Oh, he was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
Wonderful carpenter.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Did I read that he had a dance studio too?
A dance studio?
Yes.
Not my father.
No, okay,
No.
okay.
I don't know. I guess she got mixed up with the Morrow boys. My grandmother Morrow had 7 boys and 1 girl, and they were all devils. I should have brought Uncle Babes down. He was the cutest.
Yeah. So now let's
were
go
bad
to
boys.
we know a
I'm not
little
watching.
we know a little bit now about, which is so interesting, about your grandparents, Haynes, a little bit about your parents. Let's talk a little bit about you now, Barbara. Yeah, I think that would be very interesting.
I had some pretty pictures there. Funny ones.
So you grew up in Sandwich, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Where did you? What house did you grow up in?
Same house that's up there.
And where is that, Bob?
It's right up the street here.
On Main Street?
On Main Street, across from where Mrs. Our school nurse lived.
Uh-huh.
Did you have the same nurse I had? Mrs. whatchamacallit?
No, we had Mrs. Chamberlain. I think that was after
Chamberlain,
you. Yes, yeah.
Because you're a bit younger,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So you're just right around the corner, go by the town hall.
Go by
and
the town
you're,
hall, it's the big house, one, two, three, four, fifth house up.
Fifth house on the right.
But I'm the 5th house now because Pearlie wanted it, my husband wanted it, and I wanted my house, and he said, oh no, there's too much to do, which I thought was stupid because he built a whole new house there. It's not a
So
big
you
house.
grew up in the house,
Oh, yes.
much older house, of course,
Oh, yeah.
next door to it.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's still
yeah.
there.
And it's still
Very
there.
nice lady.
Yeah, yeah.
I told her, I said, I really wanted that house, and Pearlie wouldn't do it.
This is your husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd rather build a house, so
rather,
that's what you
yeah.
did, and so you built a house right next
Friend
to
of
it.
his did.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it turned out to be a little bit more than he thought he was going to do.
Yeah.
too.
So you went to Henry T. Wing School.
I sure did.
Yeah.
All 12 grades.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, that was fun. Mrs. Snow. Did you have Mrs. Snow at all?
Actually, I did, yes.
Wasn't
Yes,
she
she was a lovely
wonderful?
lady, yes.
And she could draw and paint anything she wanted to do. If we needed anything, and what is it she said? Who told us that could paint? I think it was her.
Uh-huh.
And she said, can't anyone draw a rooster? Because we used to have something in the fall that we always had.
The Harvest Festival,
The Harvest
perhaps?
Festival,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
And we made money doing that, so
Yes.
we could go on trips to, New York and Washington D.C.
Yes.
Did you go there? Did you go there at that time?
Well, we went to New York, yes, on our
You
class
didn't get
trip.
to Washington D.C.?
No, we didn't. We
Oh,
were
you
probably lucky we
oh.
got to New York. So
Yeah.
the money that
We did.
that you made at the Harvest
Yeah.
Festival,
Yeah, the
which
Harvest
was held
Festival. Yeah.
at the H.T. Wing School,
Yes, it
was used to
In the auditorium.
yeah, in the auditorium, which was also the gym, the gymnasium.
Yep, it was. That's where we played basketball.
Yes. Can you tell me about that?
I played basketball for a while, and Ed Zion said I was a pretty good shot.
Uh-huh.
We were still little ladies, you know. We only had half court. I think of Laurie
Lori Bass?
Best
Recall?
down
Yes.
there, yeah. I think of her, and she got to play the whole thing, and boy, she was wonderful.
Yeah, she was a great aunt. She's a
And,
great
yeah,
aunt.
and all they did, we would stand, and they would throw us the ball, and then 3 girls were
Guarding you? Yep.
No, I was a shooter, and
Yep.
the other ones were guarding the other group. So I could go like crazy, and Ed came out and he said, "That's really good, Robert." And he said, "You did really well." And then he started, and then he said to me, he said, "Could you lose a little weight?" Ed Zion said that to me.
Could you?
I think I weighed 130. I didn't think that was too bad. I'm almost there now. And he said, and that hurt my feelings, so I quit. And I was a cheerleader.
So from there on in, you were a cheerleader. Okay.
Well, my mother played for a group of dancers, and we learned through my mother's playing, and she played in Falmouth, Hyannis, and Sandwich, and Buzzards Bay with this group of dancers. I don't know if you remember them. Oh, Doris and Wally Morrow. Isn't that funny, Doris and Wally Morrow? So they taught us how to tap, they taught us how to flip, they did a lot. I was 12 when they started, but Ginny was like 6. So she got really good. She was on full point and everything. But I was 12 years old when they started, but I could tap better than Ginny.
So you and Ginny,
tell her I said
your sister,
Yeah.
did a lot of those shows. You
Yes,
tap dance, yeah?
we did
Yes.
every show they had.
Yep,
And I used to, Wally could never remember, our teacher.
yeah.
And Wally and Doris Merrill. And I would have to follow every curtain that went by because he could not remember who was on next. I'd say, Wally, it's so-and-so and so-and-so. Oh, it's so-and-so. Or he said, no, what's the name? And he would, we had a wonderful time.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
was for 4 years I danced with them.
Yeah.
And then they divorced each other. But he still practiced, and I know he still played for him. And he passed away. He was a nice man.
Yeah.
They even did movies, Doris and Wally Merrill.
Did
Yeah,
they
were
really?
dancers,
Oh.
with, what's his name? Who's the big dancer? Fred Astaire.
Oh.
You know, he never took a lesson, and he never knew what he was going to tap. What a guy. And they were in one of them sometime, and I saw Wally had showed us the picture of them tapping on a piano.
Wow.
And they were just standing on this big, huge piano and tapping.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was with him, too, who was a great dancer, too. Never took a lesson of it. He could just dance.
Now, sort of a little a different topic. The war, the Second World War
Oh,
in
boy.
Sandwich was quite an extraordinary thing
That was
for
very extraordinary.
many townspeople, both men and women,
Yeah.
went off to war.
We lost 3 boys.
And we lost 3 boys. Can you tell me a little bit about Barbara? You lived through that,
Yeah.
and you lived in Sandwich during that time. You saw townspeople go off to war. You saw them come back. Can you give us a
Yeah.
little idea of what that was like?
Well, I had 3 uncles that were in the war out of the 7 boys. All the others were married, so they didn't have to go.
Mhm.
My father was one, and he was a little bit older too.
Sure.
But I would go to bed, and if I heard a plane, I would get so scared I wouldn't know what to do. And that's when we had dark green curtains, and if there was any little slit in them, probably if we fooled around, me and my sister or my brothers or something, they could come and used to be, I forget who they used to come every night, and every time they come in, then one night they come in, Mary, they said, Mary, we want to talk to you. And I was upstairs, I said, oh, I was so scared, I thought it was one of my uncles. One was in Asia, and the other 2 were in Europe. And the Uncle Babe, the youngest one, he was a pilot.
He
In
was.
a single plane, one of those ones that drove around. He had a lot of stories too.
Now that was Babe Morrow.
Babe,
Yes. And who were the other 2 uncles?
Uncle Harold and Uncle Billy.
I see.
Yeah. Dad was too much. Uncle Bub had kids and children. He didn't have to go.
Yeah.
And there was someone else. There's 3 of them.
Yes.
Yeah, Uncle Randy. He was the oldest one. He didn't have to go.
Yeah.
And then there was Aunt Mary Hendrickson. She is.
Yeah. How did life in Sandwich change with the war?
I was scared all the time because I had 3 uncles there.
Yes.
And they were way over in Europe, and they were way over in, I don't know where. Something from my Uncle Harold. That's the one that was over in Asia.
Yes.
And he had something that he used to drive up, some kind of a thing. He would get the guys that would swim out from their boats,
Oh.
and he would take them up a hill and leave them and let them go, and then he'd have to come back down. And this one boy, this is a real story, I can never forget it. He said, this young boy said, I want to do it, can I drive that? Can I do it? He said, no, not yet. He said, don't drive it. He said, I'm still driving it. So one day he said to him, he said, please let me drive it. So he let him drive it. He went up, and he was bummed, and that was my uncle that was supposed to be up.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that something? So that bothered him for the rest of his life.
Yes.
My Uncle Harold, he felt terrible.
very interesting and sad stories that you have to tell about the war, Barbara.
Yeah.
Did you have to? Do you remember if your mother and father had to do the? Sometimes I hear people talk about the stamps, that you had a stamp book.
Yeah, they had
for
stamp
food.
books. Oh, stamp for food, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so your food was rationed.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And our butter. And our butter was in a little full thing, you know, and we have to squeeze it. So you squeezed a little knob in there.
Oh.
It was white, and it was like a bread thing almost, a little piece like that. And you squeeze. That was my job. I thought it was great fun. My grandmother would say, "Here, Barbara, get that to go to make it look like butter."
Oh yeah.
And it was we'd do it all that, and then she'd take it out and make little butter and put it in the butter dish.
Was it really butter or was it
I
margarine?
don't know what it was. I think it was margarine. It must have been margarine.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
You know?
So your three uncles, thank God, did come back from the war.
Boy, they sure did.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was, of course, a relief for your family.
Well,
Yeah.
they all came home.
Yes.
I know one thing Billy did. Uncle Billy said he went up to get, when they were in France, when it was getting over, they went up to get a cup of coffee, and so, I don't know who it was that was serving it. It wasn't anybody from France. It was someone from America. But they charged them. And my uncle told me, he said, I said, well, what did it cost? He said, I didn't have money.
Oh,
He said he'd been out there for 2 or 3 years in the
Red
army.
Cross.
Yes.
Pardon?
Red Cross?
Yeah, I think it was the Red Cross.
They did
Yeah.
sometimes. My father never forgave them.
Thank you. I'm glad you know that, because that's what my
I
uncles...
never understood his prejudice against them, but
I know.
that was it.
That was
Yeah.
the only thing,
He
yeah.
said they charged
And my
them.
Uncle Bill went up and he said, what do you want? She said, well, that's 10 cents or 15 cents or 20 cents, something like that.
Yeah.
And he said, you've got to be kidding.
Yes.
He said, I don't have any money.
money.
And they wouldn't give it to him.
I'll be done.
That's true.
Yes,
I hate to say that.
Yeah, I think they have sort of like perhaps rescued their name and their reputation over the
Yeah.
years. But I can remember our father, my father,
Your father, I knew.
talking about.
I was worried about him too, you know.
Yeah,
I loved your dad.
yeah. Well,
And
there
your
were a lot.
grandfather.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, there were a lot of people who went off to war. My father, Mr. George,
Joan
Carlo-
Lewis's father.
Yep,
His
Carlo
name is-
Pola.
Carlo,
I mean,
yeah.
there were a
Carlo
lot.
with all the children, he went too.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Okay, well let me switch gears again.
I don't know what to say anymore. I keep forgetting myself.
Oh, no, you're doing great, you're doing great. What did you do during the summertime? Did you have a job? Were the expectations of you that you had to have certain chores, or?
I don't know.
No?
I didn't have to do anything until I was junior high, junior high. I worked with the Cahoons, Mildred and Kat
Oh,
Cahoon.
oh, did you really?
Yeah, I
And what
worked
did you
at-
do? What did
Down
you
when
do?
they had a store down here, which is now next to a bank and another building.
They had a snack bar.
They had a snack bar, and
Yes.
I used to work there for Mildred and
Yep.
them. And Cap used to say, now Barbara, if you want to clean these things, he would save all these papers, and he says, wipe all those wipe all those things with paper. And he says the glasses come out really clean. It's amazing what they did. They were beautiful.
Yeah.
Just water there and milk or drink of some kind that they used to get.
Yeah.
I had a great time working there.
So
Yeah.
that was right on what is Route 6A.
Yeah, right 6A.
Yes, yeah,
It was
right.
right there where they were. They were in 2 different places, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
liked
So you
it
worked
very
there.
much.
Any other
Yeah.
places in town as you were growing up?
Yeah, in town. Oh yeah. Well, I worked at the Hoxie House.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah, I was there a long time.
Uh-huh.
Not when I was too young.
Yeah.
When I came home in the summertime, when Pearlie was going somewhere, and I'd have the kids up here, then he'd come back later and take me home.
Yeah.
And I
So
always-
your husband. Let's spend a little time on that. Your husband. Let's talk a little about your married life and your children. You were married to
Pearlie Gates.
Pearlie Gates. Where did you meet Pearlie?
In college.
In college. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Curry College.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
for this first year, I was in Boston, and I loved it. I thought it was really hot stuff going to Boston for the first year to a college, you know. I enjoyed it very much, a very small college. And then the next year, we had to go to Milton, because they had bought a land there, whoever had Curry College at that time.
Sure.
And that's where Pearlie came, because he was in Yukon.
Mhm.
He was University of Connecticut, and then he was a little expensive, he said, so he came up, so I met him there.
And about what year was that, Barbara?
Well, I graduated 51, so I went to 51 and 52 to Boston, and then 52 and 53. That's the time Pearlie came at the same time at that time.
Okay.
And I don't know, we just had a good time.
Yep.
And first thing was, he sent me a very cute letter, and he had folded it up in all different. He was a cute guy. He was a great guy, and he said I've got tickets for the what are the ice skaters,
Oh, sure. The Ice Follies?
the ice follies.
Uh-huh.
So I had never seen them before. And he took me, and I thought that was the most wonderful. I've never been back. We've been all over the world with him. But
Yes. Well, talk a little bit about that, because he was in the service?
yes, when he found out that, when we were married, 54,
Uh-huh.
54, I think. I can't remember that awful.
That's close enough.
That's close enough.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in 56, we were going to have a child. So he finished, and he said, I think I'm going to join the Air Force. I said, what? I thought he was crazy. And he said, no, I think I'll join for a while. And he said, after a few years, I can quit that, and I can get money to finish my college.
Yes.
So that's what happened, and that's what we did. So he went down there, and then he came back here, got me, and we went to California, to San Joaquin Valley, and spent 2 years there, and had my first child there, and my second child there 13 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we came back because he went to Morocco, and wives couldn't go at that time.
Ah.
So I came home.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came in 6 months, he got some, isn't this funny? He had some, he saw some Navy flyers that were going to fly to New England. And he said, I have 10 days I can go to America. He said, can I ride with you? They did. They put him in his They let him off up in New Hampshire.
And you got to see
So
him.
I had to go drive
Yes,
and find
sure,
him, you know,
sure.
and then bring him down here, and he wanted to see his 2 little girls that he had.
Now, when you had to stay behind, did you stay with your mom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's when
yes.
I did a lot of work over here.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it, though.
Yeah. Now, your mother being Mary Haynes Morrow.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And that would have been in the house on Main Street.
Yeah, the
Yes.
White House.
Yes. You ended up having how many children?
I had 4 children in less than 5 years.
Okay.
So 3 girls.
Yeah.
I think Pearlie wanted a boy, and thank God the last one was a boy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So
Yeah.
3 girls.
And Doug
and a
is
boy.
coming next week.
Oh, how
He
wonderful.
lives in Arizona right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
All
And-
his friends from Germany, when we were living in Germany, he said, all my friends are out there that I had, because he was in junior high and then he went into high school. And so he's out there now over 22 years.
This is your son Doug.
Yeah, my son Doug.
Yeah.
But he
And
comes once
how
a
about,
year.
How about your 3 girls? What are their names?
Pamela, Leslie, Lori, Lori, and
Yeah.
Douglas.
And Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pearlie named Douglas.
Yeah.
I was talking about Doug. I said, I wanted a different name, but I named the girls, so I had to, okay.
You had a chance to have
So
3
you
names.
want to call it
yes.
Douglas?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Douglas Gates.
So, we've just gone through, just a little bit, really sort of touched the surface of the generations that your family has been here. Very, very rich
Way
ancestry you
back,
have,
yeah.
Barbara. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know before we close, I know you have a couple stories that you want to tell, and one of them I think is about Penny Rock. Tell us about that. Penny Rock.
But this guy is telling everything, he wrote it on the paper, that Penny Rock was when the boys would throw their pennies there. Well, if I'd seen them throwing the pennies, I'd have gotten out and gotten the pennies.
Well, now, let's set the scene here. Penny Rock is in Shawm Lake.
It's
Shawm
right there,
Pond,
and there's another little rock sitting on the top. I don't know who did that.
And it's quite close,
It's
if
quite
you will,
there.
to the grist mill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a
right
little
out in front of the grist mill.
Yes,
It's
yep.
big, it's like that, it's long, and there's a little rock on top of it.
And people have wondered about that. What is the, so
Well,
can
they
you
said
tell us what
this-
you know about it?
Well, all I know is that it was called Penny Rock because when we ice skated on that pond, we always ice skated on that pond.
Yes.
We would come down, if it was a good cold, we could get all the way down there, but you kind of would go slide because you didn't want to break in. You could get out, you know.
Yeah.
And we would say, oh, there it is, there's the penny.
And so is
It's
it
a-
actually a penny on that
it's a-
rock? Can you tell
yeah.
me about that?
The only thing I know that it is a penny and it's
Uh-huh.
that big, and I was told that by Mrs. Harvey,
Mm-hmm.
and she had the Harvey place, you know.
She had
And my
the
grandmother
tea
made-
shop, yes.
Yeah, and my grandmother made all her bread. And my friend Cynthia said one time, she said, my mother gave me some money, she said, let's have tea and toast over there. I said, I can have tea and toast, my grandmother makes the bread. She said, no, we'll go over there. And Mrs. Harvey said, are you girls coming in, you know? They didn't do, I don't know if she wanted us there or not.
Yeah.
I said, oh yes. She said, oh yes, we have money from our mothers. So we went in and we had tea, and we, Toast.
Like the grown-ups.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, are you girls finished now?
Yeah.
Mrs. Harvey.
Yeah.
I remember Mrs.
For people newer people in Sandwich may not know that in addition to the grist mill, it seems unbelievable to see that it would even fit there, but it did. There was another building, and that was at one time used as a tea shop, for people to go in and have dainty little tea and,
Oh, yeah.
and crumpets and things
Oh,
like that.
yes.
Yes, and that was run by Mrs. Harvey.
Mrs. Harvey, she also sold things too.
Yes. Now, what time, what year might that have been? You were a teenager, Barbara.
Probably about 14, yeah.
You were about 14,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
So I went, and Mrs. Harvey was okay.
Yep.
I said, Cynthia, let's go, you know.
Can you tell me, I think you told me once about your friend Cynthia and, what was the other name?
Arlene Burke.
Arlene Burke.
That was
Tell
my
me the
buddy.
story, you want to tell a story about that,
She
Barbara.
is, I think I told you, didn't I?
Yeah, but let's, okay.
Oh, Arlene Burke and me.
Arlene Burke, yes.
So I said to her one time, I said, my mother gave me a penny or something like that, and I said, but I know something else to do, because we were going down for penny candy.
Uh-huh.
So really quickly, I said, let's go, and I said, is anyone over there? Because, you know, the fire trucks used to be over the back of
the Daniel Webster Inn? Yes.
And there was no one there.
No, that's where they
Sometimes there would be someone there.
Yeah, that's where they stored the fire trucks, yes.
So I said, come on, let's go on back over there. So we went over there, and they had that, well, what is that beer, that they think they drank so much? I gave you the number, I forgot it. It was something and something, and I said, you see all those bottles in there? You could get 5 cents off those bottles.
Now, these were stored in back of
In back
the
of the
Daniel Webster Inn, okay.
The big barrels.
Okay, yeah.
I said, I said, did you bring your sweater? She said, what, are you crazy? I said, you're the crazy one, Arlene. I said, for the first time, let's go. We only have a penny, and we wanted more than 2 candies.
Yeah.
So we walked over there, and I said, put it underneath put your sweater on and put it underneath and put another one underneath that. And then we walked out. We walked all the way down to Bazinotti's store.
Yes. That would have been at the corner
What's his
of
name?
Willow
Yeah.
Street and Java Street.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's it.
Albert Bazinati.
Albert Bazinotti's store.
Yep.
So we walked in there, and he said, aha, your father drink both of those? He said. I said, yes, my father finished them all. And he said, okay. He said, what do you want, girls? I said, well, we're giving you this. We want the 5 cents. We're giving it back to you. So
Yeah.
he gave us each 5 cents.
And so you could buy your penny candy.
Oh, we had a lot more than that. We had, I think we paid penny candy for at least 3 days. I don't know, or something like that.
Before we close, I do want to just quickly go back to the story that you had before
Oh, gosh, what was
about
it?
Penny Rock. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
penny that you said was on the rock.
It was on the rock.
Can
and
you describe what kind of penny that was, Bob?
No, I can't, because it was only that big around, and I was
Yes.
stuck on it, and it was, I would say, about that thick.
Yep.
And I was talking with a man from England, a Britain man who was in a church.
Yep.
And I said, there's a big penny like that. He said, well, the English penny was big, he said.
Ah, so
I
it
said,
might have been.
I always knew that, though. Someone told me that was always a penny rock. That was a,
Yes, so it might have been an English
And
penny
it
that
was an
was
English
affixed
penny.
somehow to the
Yeah.
rock. Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere with someone who has a boat. 'Cause I had
and investigate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to see if it's still there on the rock. But I don't like what they have in there. Right now they've got a lot of bad, well, the swans are way up.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to worry about the swans.
They're still there though.
Yeah.
They're way up. And they were coming down the road one time up here.
Uh-huh.
And everybody was sort of going them. They were this tall.
They're big, yeah.
They were that tall.
Yeah.
Their necks were like that.
Yeah.
And I said, boy, I'm glad they didn't go by my house.
Barbara, this has been so fun to talk with you and to hear your various stories. No, it really is, and I'm so pleased that you were able to do this with us, and I'm so pleased you were able to bring the picture of your mother.
That's a nice picture.
Yes.